So we are partnering as the City of Green Bay with our Green Bay Conservation Corps on a cleanup effort involving tree plantings and a number of other initiatives that Maria will be touching on here in a few minutes. But one of the things that I oftentimes hear about from our visitors, especially when they're here for a Packer game, is how clean the community is and also how welcoming things are. And so we're combining a couple of those impressions to really beautify the community. Just a couple days before the draft is in the city of Green Bay here, with a large-scale community effort requiring a number of volunteers that again Maria is going to detail for us. But a fantastic partnership between the city and our Conservation Corps to put our best foot forward to celebrate Earth Day and to make sure that the community is looking fantastic as we have hundreds of thousands of visitors coming to the city of Green Bay. So I'm going to turn things over to the rest of our partners here. Next is somebody who you all know very well, our former chief of staff in the mayor's office, but the current state representative for the 90th Assembly District, and also somebody who is really instrumental in bringing this AmeriCorps partnership to the city of Green Bay initially, Ahmad Rivera-Wagner. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. First, I want to just thank the mayor, whose vision and dogged commitment to history. This idea came from him, who wanted to create a civilian conservation corps, which is something that happened under JFK during the time that there was a concern about getting workers back to work. And we were talking during the pandemic about what could we do to make a local version of the civilian conservation corps. And I said, well, there's this amazing program called AmeriCorps. And they do exactly these types of service-driven efforts. It's a bipartisan funding that comes from the federal government and local government here in Madison. And he said, if we can do that, that'd be great. So he, as what is amazing about his leadership, he said, you go ahead and figure it out. So next thing you know, we got a grant, wrote a grant for the first ever municipally run conservation corps in Wisconsin history. And we won that grant. And then we were able to get Maria Otto, who has been an absolute champion for this work, who took an idea and some funding and some passionate energy and turned it into a community-driven process that shows folks what we can do when the community comes together to impact the environment. The idea for Earth Day, as many of you probably know, comes from U.S. Senator Gaylord Nelson. So there's nothing more Wisconsin than Earth Day, and there's nothing more Green Bay than football. We all bleed green and gold on Sundays, unless you're a Bears fan or a Vikings fan. So there's nothing more natural than for us to do Earth Day and the draft and bring folks together. The draft, as you all probably know, also got bipartisan funding from the state legislature, and there is a bipartisan piece of legislation going forward for public safety. And so this is in a spirit of coming together, taking care of the things that we care about the most: our planet, our community, and our football. And I'm really excited to be a part of that and help make that possible. So I'd like to introduce Maria Otto.
Awesome. Well, thank you for those kind words. I'm Maria Otto. I'm the coordinator for the Green Bay Conservation Corps, really helping to bring the idea that the mayor and Ahmad have to life about bringing the community together, really focusing on that welcoming atmosphere and that cleanliness, and really just an enjoyable atmosphere for the 2025 NFL Draft here in Green Bay. So we are looking for a big pull for the community to come together on Earth Day, celebrating not only Earth Day but also Arbor Day. We'll be doing quite a bit of tree planting, as well as trail maintenance, park cleanup, and invasive species removal and habitat restoration. We are capping the volunteer event on April 22nd at 325 volunteers, and we do ask community partners, organizations, groups, and individuals to pre-register for the activity that they'd like to do, whether that be tree planting or trail maintenance. Those activities will be here at the Wildlife Sanctuary on Tuesday, April 22nd, which is Earth Day, right before the NFL Draft starts on Wednesday. That event will run from 9 a.m. to noon, and we'll wrap that event up at noon with a large lunch celebration until 1 p.m. to really celebrate the community after we've all come together to make these initiatives a reality. Awesome, thank you.
If anyone has any questions, feel free.
So exactly what are you going to be doing? Can you give the details of what that is going to be and what the impact is for the environment?
Yes. So we'll start with the trail maintenance. So here at the Wildlife Sanctuary, we have quite a few trail systems that are very heavily used all season. So in the winter for cross-country skiing, and then in the spring and summer. So every spring we always like to revamp those trail systems to keep them accessible for all people coming to visit and enjoying the Wildlife Sanctuary, which is a very unique really key part of Green Bay. So we'll be spreading mulch and making those accessible, so removing any flood damage that may have occurred over the winter, and just weatherization issues with the trail system. So spreading that mulch and making them accessible will be one activity. The other activity, which will be not only here at the Wildlife Sanctuary, but across the park system, will be garbage cleanup. So we will be we'll be cleaning up the park system and hitting all of the major parks within the area, not only in Green Bay, but near and around Lambeau Field, to really improve the quality of those park systems, and definitely hitting the rivers and the shoreline on the bay, so along the Bay Beach shoreline, doing cleanups there. The next part is the habitat restoration and invasive removal. So removing invasive species. Here in the city of Green Bay, we value using methods to restore our habitat that don't include herbicide use. We use herbicide only when absolutely necessary. So when available, we like to use the community to come and lend a helping hand to hand pull invasives so that we don't have to use those invasives. So having a very large volunteer base will help us do just that. And then the final part will be tree planting. We'll be planting trees here at the Bay Beach Wildlife Sanctuary and on the west side at Perkins Park as part of the Perkins Park Master Plan. So we'll be planting nearly 100 trees on that day to also celebrate Arbor Day, which happens to fall on that Friday during that week, but doing it all in one day.
With something as big as the draft coming here, how important it is to put your best foot forward and get the best impression of the area to visitors?
Yeah, it's an immense opportunity for us. We've got a couple 100,000, if not more, visitors coming to the city of Green Bay for the event. We have millions more tuning in on TV and online, and so it's really a unique opportunity, the first in our city's history, to have this chance to really display what Green Bay is all about. Which again is bringing people together for a good cause, taking care of our environment, and just being the welcoming, open community that we always are. And so really looking forward to people within the community partnering on this event with our Conservation Corps, with the City of Green Bay, with Ahmad and hopefully some of his fellow representatives down in Madison, to make Green Bay to put our foot forward in the best way possible, representing everything that makes us proud and makes us unique.
Have you ever done anything this big before?
No, I mean, I think, I would let Maria talk to, some of the initiatives that have been brought forward as a result of the Conservation Corps, but I'm not familiar of an event of this scale to happen on Earth Day in the city of Green Bay previously. So, yes, I think it really would be a unique chance for us to make a bigger splash than even normal, which is fitting given the fact that we are welcoming the NFL draft to the city for the first time in our history.
The city has hosted previous Earth Day events, hasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's something that we customarily come together on. As Ahmad was saying, the history of Earth Day goes back to 1970 with Gaylord Nelson, working with others in D.C. to make it, the day that it is across the country. So we have, a long history of doing similar events. But again, in my recollection, I'm not sure of an event of this scale to celebrate Earth Day.
And it's how much bigger is it going to be compared to previous events?
We don't do like a formal event on an annual basis. Conservation Corps has done some, so I don't know if you want to speak to like the typical Conservation Corps event.
Yeah. So the Green Bay Conservation Corps was established in the fall of 2022. So we're just in our third year. So that's what I'll be speaking to for our history. So we do an annual Earth Day event each year. So that is always a volunteer-based, usually focused on that invasive species removal. And previous years has been about 50 volunteers strong. And we've changed how that looks from year to year, so this is going to be significantly larger of an undertaking and allow us to do a lot more activities, not just invasive species removal, but also that garbage and that tree planting along with trail maintenance.
There's space for how many volunteers you were saying?
325 is what we're capping it at currently for our capacity.
Is there like an age range?
Any age is welcome. If the volunteer is under the age of 17, we just need a parent to sign off on the volunteer waiver beforehand.
Is there a cost of what this altogether would cost?
Yeah, that's a great question and gives us a great opportunity to really highlight the partnerships that we have on the state and federal level. So we are an AmeriCorps program funded federally and through the state. And this volunteer opportunity came to us because we got additional funding through what's called the Volunteer Generation Fund, which was awarded to us through the state from federal funds. Those funds are meant to increase volunteer capacity for organizations, and so we had a grant that was about $18,000 grant in order for us to increase our capacities with equipment and just allow us to host such a large number in one place at one time.
You received all the money?
Yes, we did, and then we also received some personal donations as well to increase that above and beyond. So this is continually getting more and more support, and so we're seeing more and more funders want to sponsor and want to partake in this very large volunteer event. Additionally, with that Volunteer Generation Fund, that will not only fund our Earth Day event, but we also have events the 2 weeks before the draft, during the draft, and after, where we're going to be mapping all of our park spaces and our green spaces, doing quality assessments to ensure that all of our parks and community spaces are equal to or better quality after the draft. So really using the draft as a positive outcome for our public spaces.
Not to make you to repeat yourself, but if you could get into exactly what you hope to get out of this.
Yeah, so what we hope to get out is to, first and foremost, improve our public spaces and make them more inviting. Like the mayor said, we have a very welcoming atmosphere, and we hear it a lot through our park system. The Green Bay, City of Green Bay has a very high percent of public spaces per capita for most cities. So we are in the higher percentile of green spaces, so making sure that we're able to offer that space for the community and for the visitors coming. So really making sure that those are in top quality, and then ensuring that those stay top quality throughout the increased usage that we expect to see during the draft, and making sure that once the draft is complete, that all of those spaces can be used by the local community and residents as they have come to love.
Just to clarify, you're capping it at 325 volunteers.
Correct, yep, so we have that registration form which will be posted on our website this afternoon and throughout social media, and that registration form can be used for groups and individuals alike, and wanting to make sure that volunteers get to choose what they're most passionate about, whether that be the invasive species, the tree planting, the trail maintenance, and such.
And why are you expecting more volunteers this year than previous Earth Day events?
So in previous years, we didn't have the capacity to host as many, so we didn't have as much of the tools and resources needed to host a large-scale event at one time. Previous years, we've hosted volunteer events up to 75 people. And really, if you think about it, that comes down to your gloves, your garbage bags, your garbage pickers, your wheelbarrows, things of that nature in order for us to actually do the activities. And so we've just been limited by infrastructure and tools. And so through this additional funding, we've been able to expand that capacity.
Are there any special events going on through the draft for your sanctuary?
Yes.
At the sanctuary itself, I don't have that information necessarily, but obviously, we can connect you with our Parks Department and Superintendent Steve Lakatos to talk about some of the programming that's going to be happening during that stretch.
I just wanted to echo that it's not only the infrastructure funding, is that there's been a not renewed, but excited interest from both inside the community and outside. So when I was chief of staff, we were fielding calls a year before the draft, asking what can people do? How can they get involved? How can they be helpful? All different ways. We had local schools, which will be closed, reaching out saying, is there activities that people can do? The mayor has done an incredible job of creating a lineup for the week so that residents can realize that the draft is also for them. And this is one of the many outcomes and options, which is if you'd like to get involved, if you'd like to bring your family and be able to beautify and support some of our best institutions, our parks, and clean up and make sure our community looks as beautiful as it does every day. This is one of the many things that you can do that the city is offering for people to be engaged. But we heard over and over again, from sports teams to everyday people, what can we do? And so we're really excited that this one offering of a multitude is something that the excitement can capture, and it's something we'd all feel good about. And wouldn't it be happy that our parks would be just as pretty post 300,000 people showing up here? And so it's a win-win for everybody.
Anything else? Great. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.